I ended up in the hospital on our honeymoon, and none of the next times I could stand it. They called him El Flaco, skinny one. Robert, my neighbor, was a young man who was about 2 meters tall. He was kind and respectful, always concerned about his appearance and personal care, since he worked in an office and was in contact with the public. However, his thinness was more noticeable due to his height. For me, he had gone unnoticed until one day he began to show me his attentions. In a short time, we began an old-fashioned romance. It didn't go beyond a few kisses when no one was looking. He never tried to get too close to me even with an abusive caress, and if he didn't caress me maliciously, much less would I do it with him. I remember the afternoons we spent together in the park near our houses. We walked hand in hand, enjoying the soft breeze and the sound of the leaves moving in the wind. Often, we sat on a bench, talking about our dreams and plans for the future. Joaquin always had a smile on his face, and his eyes sparkled when he talked about his ambitions. His words filled me with confidence and trust in our love. Time passed, and our wedding day arrived. It was a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends and family. The hall was decorated with white flowers and warm lights that created a magical atmosphere. Joaquin looked at me tenderly as we said our vows, and I felt like the whole world stopped for us at that moment. After the ceremony, we left for our honeymoon in a luxury hotel. On our first night together, everything seemed perfect. Robert, with his characteristic tenderness, caressed me gently, without haste, exploring every corner of my skin. His touch was delicate. His hands ran over my body with a mixture of shyness and desire. However, when the moment of intimacy came, I realized that my lack of experience prevented me from knowing if his penis was of a normal size or exaggeratedly large. To me, it seemed proportionate to his height. I dare say that Robert was not very experienced either, as he did not use any kind of lubricant, relying only on my natural lubrication. We caressed each other, and then he tried to penetrate me. At first, it was a new and exciting experience, but it soon became painful. I felt intense pressure, a stretching sensation that I had never experienced before. It was with great difficulty that he managed it, and now I understand that he was not just big, but exaggeratedly big. I knew it was normal to bleed a little, but not as much as it happened with me. When my bleeding did not stop, he had to take me to the hospital, where they told me that I had suffered a tear in the vagina and warned him that he should abstain for at least 8 days. Those days were difficult for both of us. Anxiety and worry mixed with the desire to be together. Joaquin was understanding, but I could see his frustration every time we avoided the subject. After a while, we tried again, but more than pleasure, it was a torment. Each attempt was a mixture of desire and pain. I felt like my body was resisting, that every penetration was a battle between pleasure and suffering. This kept happening in the next attempts. We sought medical help, and the advice I was given was to hold on until I adjusted, which never happened. Our relationship began to deteriorate. The nights when we used to talk and laugh became silent and full of tension. The days passed, and each failed attempt drove us further apart. We realized that, despite the love we had for each other, our intimate life was deeply affecting our happiness. Finally, we had to make the difficult decision to divorce, not because of incompatibility of characters, but because of the exaggeration of the size of his penis. Eventually, I married again without the slightest problem. My new relationship was completely different. I found someone with whom intimacy was natural and pleasurable from the beginning. I was able to experience love in a way I had never imagined possible. I learned that Joaquin had had the same problem with his new wife. It saddened me to know that he was also suffering from something that was out of his control. Through this experience, I learned a lot about love, intimacy, and the importance of physical compatibility in a relationship. Although my marriage to Joaquin did not work out, I will always fondly remember the moments we shared and the life lesson he taught me. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe. It would help us a lot.